Good morning. We have here Mr. Alex Simalabwi, Senior Climate Change Focal Point at the Global Water Partnership, Secretariat in Stockholm. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Kutumi. How are you?
Mr. Simalabwi, just a question. Could you please explain to us what is the importance of having water in climate change negotiations, particularly to the COP16 in Cancun this morning?
Well, basically we know that one of the reasons why there's been all these discussions around climate change is basically because of the projected impacts, for instance, by the IPCC on water resources in terms of increased frequency of droughts, sea level rise, glacier melting, and other water-related climate hazards. So water is extremely important in all aspects of the climate change discussions, in terms of being the primary medium through which all projected impacts for climate change are going to be felt.
And in terms of your expectation from the COP16, do you expect any of that being included in the negotiations, and as well as an outcome? What kind of an outcome do you expect from the COP16?
Well, to be honest, I've got very little expectations from COP16 because of a range of factors. But at least, at the very least, it is extremely important that the negotiators be able to understand that any key decision that they will make will influence water resources and will be influenced by the state of the water resource. So if they can just reflect within their broader approach to climate change negotiations to really understand that any decision that they make, water is key. I think for me that would be a good outcome.
And in addition to that, do you have any key policy messages that you want to send to the broader public and as well as the negotiators for the next COP17?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as the Global Water Partnership, we still basically continue to indicate to the parties and to the negotiators that, as I've indicated, climate change impacts are going to be felt through water. And if water is not factored into the decisions and into the agreements and into the mechanism that they're trying to negotiate, the world is not going to be saved from disasters. We have seen what has happened, for instance, with floods in Pakistan, with droughts in Niger, with floods in parts of Latin America like Venezuela. And these are going to continue, and they'll get worse. So the parties must be able to reflect that in their approach to finding solutions for adaptation, water must be at the center of it. And water is not only key for adaptation, water is also a contributor in terms of the mitigation. If you talk about pumping and hydropower schemes, the distribution of and cooling systems, they all contribute emissions. So water finds itself sitting between adaptation and mitigation, and it's a key issue that must be emphasized. And the other thing is that for us, it's very, very critical for the climate community and the delegates to be able to understand that any adaptation intervention that does not put water at the center is failed adaptation. And the other message is on financing. It is critical that there is need for scaled up financing for water security, to ensure that there is more investments in water storage, to ensure that they are able, for instance, to mitigate some of the expected impacts. And then the last key message, of course, is that the issue of capacity. Capacity is required across many institutions, not only in Africa, but in Asia, Latin America, to be able to adapt to new regimes of climate change, because this is a new regime we are talking about. We are no longer able to predict, to rely on the historical data for water resources to be able to predict the future because of climate change. The uncertainty is such a big issue. So it is very critical that the negotiators put targeted attention on these key issues in terms of financing, water resources management, scaled up financing, capacity development, and finally integrating water security and climate resiliency into development planning process, including national development plans and PRSPs.
Thank you, Mr. Alex Simalabwi.
Okay. Thank you, Mikutumi.